Good morning. My special guest today is Mr. Denis Vujicic, Managing Director from MSD Poland. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning.
I would like to start from the question concerning the biggest challenges of Polish oncology.
Oh, that's a big question. Well, let me start by saying that the challenges of the Polish oncology are the same challenges that every other country in Europe is facing. What we are seeing today is aging population. We see increase in expenditures because there is a higher prevalence of the disease, and the payers, namely National Institutes for Health and ministries, are trying to find a way how to cope with this issue. Mm-hmm. Every country needs to find, or the payers in every country needs to find the budget headroom to finance the new technologies and the new molecules, especially in the field of oncology. So I believe this is the biggest challenge: how to overcome the new molecules coming into the market and how to finance them in order to get as early as possible access for the patients in Poland.
Okay, and could you please tell me what cancers the Poles most often suffer from? Yeah. And why so many patients die?
Well, it's a very interesting thing to know that, for example, today the biggest killer of population are cardiovascular diseases, but very soon cancer diseases will actually prevail over the cardiovascular diseases and will become the number one death of the population around the globe. And the Poland is not different. In Poland, for example, we have the lung cancer, the lung cancer, which is taking most of the Polish lives a year. So 23,000 people are dying of lung cancer in Poland, which is, just to give you the perspective, it's more than breast, prostate, and colorectal cancer together. So 23,000 people are dying of lung cancer every year. And for sure, we are actually, as a pharmaceutical industry, we are welcoming the strategic decision of the Polish government to invest more in healthcare, and we believe that some of this money should be also channeled towards the biggest issue of nowadays, of today, which for sure cancer diseases are, and the first one being the lung cancer.
Okay, but do Poles have access to the same therapies as people from neighboring countries?
Well, unfortunately not, but it's not that simple. So once again, we working in the healthcare sector, we see the big progress that the current government is doing in terms of bringing access of the new treatments to the patients. And that is coming from the strategic decision that the healthcare is becoming this government's priority, because actually having a healthy population is adding to your GDP, it's adding to the overall overall satisfaction of the people that live in the country. When we come to the numbers, the situation is not like that. So let me just tell you that the strategic decision of the government was to increase the expenditures in healthcare from current 4.6 towards 6% in 2024. Yet we know that 17% of these funds, up to 17%, should be invested in the reimbursed drugs. What we are seeing today is that Poland is, for example, investing only 0.5% of its annual GDP into the reimbursed drugs. Whereas the neighboring countries, as you said, for example, like Visegrad countries, our neighboring countries, are investing 1.2%, which means that more than a double is the investment in the neighboring countries in the reimbursed drugs than in Poland. Now this leads to my final conclusion, and that is that 0.3% of all the drugs in the Polish market are the new drugs, which means reimbursed in the last 10 years. Whereas in the neighboring countries, we have the average of 3%. So if you calculate that quickly, it seems, or it is true that actually in the neighboring countries we have 10 times more new molecules available for the patients than in Poland. This is something that, once again, even if the Polish government is making strong progress, would be really fantastic to see in the future. And again, to channel that innovation towards the biggest killers in the healthcare, for example, like lung cancer. Why is all that important? Because the new treatments are the part that is helping the most in achieving better lives for the patient. So the life expectancy is depending, according to the research recently published, by 73% of the availability and the access to the new technologies or the new drugs.
Okay, and what do you think? What should be the future of treating patients with lung cancer?
Well, it's clear that with the new treatments, especially in the targeted therapies and immuno-oncology, we are facing the revolution in treating the cancer, and especially in treatment of the lung cancer. The future is happening now. We see many molecules getting approvals around the world, and I think that the challenge would be to bring them also and make them available for the Polish patients. We have immuno-oncology today, immuno-oncology drugs reimbursed in the first line for the lung cancer patients in Poland, but yet this is not enough to secure the access for all the patients, because there are many patients, around 40% of the patients are currently cannot have that treatment. So one of the next steps would be to enable those patients to have the access to the immuno-oncology in combination with chemotherapy. So that would be the near future, and we hope that the continuous research in the immuno-oncology would actually bring new molecules to the market, but then we are talking about the future that is coming in 5 to 10 years from now. But today, I believe that the biggest innovation would be enabling patients in Poland the access to the combination of chemotherapy and immuno-oncology.
So it seems right now we have a big problem, but how that we'll be able to cope with it? So,
I think the solution lies in open dialogue between the three main parties, I would say. One is for sure the payer, the Minister of Health. On the other side, pharmaceutical industry, which have to come into the dialogue with the payers to find the best models, the best risk-sharing agreements of financing these new the access to the new treatments, and also to help basically the government to find the budget headroom for financing these new treatments. The third element of this equation are for sure patients, because we believe that the patients will become more and more vocal in the future, not only in the area of the lung cancer, but in all the diseases, because with the access to the internet, patients are basically demanding to know more, and they are knowing more than they did in the past. So the availability of the therapy, for example, in Czech Republic or in Spain, is triggering a question by the patient, why not in Poland? So I think that this dialogue between these three stakeholders in the system could help improve access for the patients in the future.
Mr. Vujicic, thank you very much for this very important conversation.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.